How have you been feeling since, from beginning a program to ending and since?
Lighter.
Lighter?
Yes, I feel like things come at me now and I just kind of dodge them.
Like dancing?
Yes, just like Keanu Reeves and
Matrix?
in The Matrix.
Nice. Nice. Love it. What do you think was the biggest catalyst for you kind of finding this kind of, work, the need for kind of what this program offered? What drew you to it? And then subsequently with that, um, what were some of the big, profound ahas that you got, right out of the gate and then through the process?
Well, I think, you know, what initially drew me to the course were your breathing classes, if I'm being honest. So those were immensely helpful and life changing. So just, being able to learn how to proper breathing technique is so it's something we take for granted, but it's essential.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did get a lot out of that. And then I figured why not, dive right into more healing, whatever I can do to heal and self-soothe and whatever will help me moving forward through life's challenges. So I think doing this program with you helped me learn how to handle things in a way that was more beneficial and less stressful, less stress inducing.
Do you feel like you found some surprises through the process?
Yes. There were things that I was not aware of that, like, you open my eyes to so many things on even like healing through some of the tools that you've shared with me. So I do that on a daily basis when I just close my eyes and I envision some of the tools that you shared and it helps immensely.
I mean, what kind of people would you say this is for? I guess would be the better question.
Everyone.
Nice.
I really do. I think that everyone should take this because there are so many things that we go through life not knowing. And um, I honestly believe that the things that you taught should be taught to us at a very young age. People would be able to navigate life in a completely different style that is beneficial to everyone. It's beneficial to your own health and well-being and it you learn how to handle stress differently.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, because you kind of demystify, right? Like what was one of the things we talked about, I hear this all the time. In fact, I just had a conversation with somebody just the other day about this where they talk about someone took ownership of anxiety. And this, interestingly enough, this was in a group that I, kind of monitor, kind of interact with periodically, of people that are doing various levels of breath work or have done various levels of trainings or whatever in the past, right? And this lady, I was sharing an herb for women going through menopausal type stuff. I saw the thread and some women were talking about the subject, and I said, "Oh, here's a couple of tidbits for you. If I was picking one thing, this would be the thing beyond these other aspects, right?" And this this one person chimes in and she talked about how her experience was, it made all the ownership words, right? Like it made my dot dot dot, it did this and dot dot dot, and I experienced dot dot dot, and the way that she went about it, right? You know, from your time with me, right away, like we noticed, what did you notice just in the starting points of that statement, right? My this and that, right? How does that affect that person's body and function?
Yes.
you know?
Yes. And when you apply, whatever you have to yourself, like, my disease or you're claiming ownership of that. And that's not something we need in our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Because that holds us into a cycle that we can't break free from.
A
Right.
cycle of victimhood.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the whole world, we see that hamster wheel effect. Right. And so,
Yep.
yeah. And so like for you, right, there was multiple levels of stuff, but one of them, right, was the interactions on the street driving, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
So
Yeah.
if you don't mind sharing a little piece on like a concept on what that was like versus how it is now.
Oh boy, I used to have road rage. And it was just like being so consumed with anger that I had an outlet, and my outlet was driving. And, I once I kind of learned how to remove myself from that situation, now I can handle, anything happening, someone breaking abruptly. I can handle that with peace, and I can, you know, send peace back to them. And I feel better. I don't, walk away from a situation with my hands trembling anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. What would you say that uh that is then translated into business, home life, other
It
relationships?
translates across the board. Yeah, it translates to everything. And, just today I had a last minute request and I handled it and it's done and it's out of my life.
Yeah. Right. Instead of sitting with it for
Yes.
hours or days and refestering over it. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, you mentioned in the beginning about how much more peaceful, right? And how calm. Have you noticed in the introspection of that, like how much chaos there was before in the stories or the whether past stories or even future stories where you were having conversations, either rewriting a script that already happened, right, and feeling the energy depletion there, or worrying about or telling a story about something that hasn't even happened yet, but as if it has already happened, which of course, as we know, is then drawing that in, right? um, have you noticed, because of the stillness that you have now, have you noticed that there was a lot of that before?
Yes. I think I was running in that hamster wheel quite often. And I've learned to kind of step aside from the hamster wheel.
Nice. Have you found um, that this program not only has helped you, but have you noticed that you've been able to kind of utilize for lack of a better word in the moment, the bleed over, right? Or the overflow of abundance that you've received from that moment? Have you been able to share that in conversations or in interactions, or like in a way that's served other people?
Yes, I definitely take a lot of what I've learned and I help others handle situations in different ways than they would have.
Is one, how does it make you feel to know that they're like when you're in service like that, without necessarily receiving anything from a monetary respect or any of that kind of thing, right? And second to that is, uh, have you been able to then observe a shift in, say, those people, like quickly, just to see that they kind of gave them an aha moment, whether or not lasting or not, they had this like, oh wow, that feels better kind of thing.
Yeah, I have noticed that. And when you notice that, it helps you feel better, like it's spreading the happy feelings around. So yes, I would say yes to both.
If somebody was looking at this program and they're like, I don't understand what this is, right? Because it's, as you know, what I do is kind of hard to put in writing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's like, okay, I'm seeing that this thing is here, the reviews are pretty good. You know, I'm sure that I have things because I'm seeking something, you know, to that person, like what would you say is the, not only what would you say to them as far as what to do, but also, you know, what would you say to them is how to better understand what they're possibly going to gain from this, you know, whether it be via tools, understandings of life, growth, that kind of things.
I would say that, you know, the what you're going to gain from this program can only be taught by someone who has the experience that you do, you know, with your background, your multiple certifications. And what do you have certifications in?
Me, everything.
Yes. Like,
Breathing, nutrition, herbalism, qigong, you know, meditations, all that kind of stuff.
all of it. So I think that with your years of expertise, um, don't think twice, you know, just dive headfirst into this program because it will change your perspective on life.
Let me ask you this question: do you think that on the notion of the certifications, because of course in this world, you know, there are people that have tons of documentation behind them as well, but would you say the thing that has kind of makes me stand out differently is perhaps less about the fact that I do have a ton of stuff that I don't even list on the site in terms of study, but more so that I come from a place of real experience. Like I've been through childhood traumas, I've been through physical abuses, I've been through these things. Like did you feel that in our conversations and the way that I kind of portrayed certain things into to help you kind of understand for certain challenges for you of like, yeah, I understand, I've been there, versus like, oh yeah, I did these studies at Harvard and I learned blah blah blah, right?
Right. I think, well, part of it for me is I would attribute it to some of the some of the skills that you have obtained because you draw people into your life from those areas, right? Like your qigong masters taught you so much, which you have been taught me, and all of these Chinese supplements and whatever herbs and all of the knowledge that you bring is a huge benefit. However, yeah, the people that you have met and the teachings that you have been taught, I think that those are all so important for everyone to be able to learn how to utilize on a day-to-day basis.
But if someone was talking to you and they're like, you know, I've had these, you know, I don't know, it seems silly. I you know, I have a great life, this and that, but you know, when I was a kid, I had these experiences, and I don't know, for some reason, it just feels like they're still affecting me. You know, I had been, you know, molested, or I had been beaten, or whatever, right? If someone's kind of talking to you and they're talking about that, and let's say it's a female, and they're like, you know, I don't know that I can talk to a guy about this, you know, what would you say would be a differentiator between me and another guy or whatever to allow for someone to not only feel like I might really understand, you know, intellectually and having been through, to be able to show them a way to speed up and break free from that cycle. But then with that also being a male, you know, as a female, you know, what would you say in terms of how to feel safe and secure? And, you know, like, did you feel that way, you know?
Yeah, I think the most important thing about you is that you don't hold judgment towards anyone. Because you've been there, you've experienced a lot of pain, and you've learned how to take that pain and convert it from feeling like a victim to letting go of letting it have control over your life. So I think that that would be hugely beneficial for any female or male that's been through any sort of trauma and and wants to rid themselves from the feeling of holding on to that.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate that. For you in this program, there's always like that one aha moment, right? Because there's always that one moment where there's like that, like somewhere through the program, right? There's this one moment where something happens and you almost feel like, you know, like, I don't know if this is working or like it compiled up, right? All of a sudden it was like, everything was great. And then there was just this one moment that's kind of like, and then you have your breakthrough moment, right? And then everything else after that is smooth and simple, right? But what was the biggest aha? You know, was it the understanding of what you truly are, or was it, you know, what was it for you?
I would have to say being able to learn how to pull out of a moment and just be present.
If you were to condense this program into a one sentence concept, or, you know, whatever, like if you, so I guess what would that be? And then in closing, is there anything else that you feel called to just like say or share with anybody who might hear this, you know?
If you want to feel as if you can truly embrace your future and release anything from your past, and move forward with happiness, then yeah, this program is for you.